Alright, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWAHSHI, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders that I learned this truth from, the men at GMS, and the brethren with the like-minded doctrine. Before I get into this lesson, which maybe I'm entitled with Esau Edom, perpetual hatred, or something along that. But I'm gonna read this out of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. I'm gonna start at the 14th verse, and it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power." So we're gonna see a lot of that happening in this video. We see a lot of that happening now with this juice mandate, and and against these regulations towards this sickness. I'm gonna say it like that, the sickness that they claim to be out here. So and plus this for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another, with swords and swords in their hands, which that's what I'm trying to bring out, that's one of the points, and that for there should be sedition among men. We're gonna get into what that word sedition means. I have it already looked up with sedition. Sedition means conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. So that's you can see all that's going on. That's going on all over the world. Just like the scripture said, 2nd Ezra 15, starting at the 14th chapter. Woe to the world. But what we're gonna focus on in this lesson here is basically Esau Edom and his perpetual hatred, which that's a part of that woe. That's a part of that woe. Salaki, I got a commercial here. So yeah, this video here, it says FBI plot for mass murder fueled by racist hate. So I'm gonna let this video play here, and I'm gonna bring out some more scriptures.
Tonight to the alarming evidence now emerging in the case of two men accused of what could have been a deadly plot, a hate-filled plan that was set to unfold in Virginia. Authorities say the men belong to an extremist group that espouses racial hatred and anti-Semitism. And tonight you're about to hear the FBI recordings right here. The two men are heard planning a deadly attack in the U.S. Here's our Chief Justice Correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
The FBI says these men, fueled by racist hate, plotted mass murder.
The time for violent revolution is now.
Patrick Jordan Matthews and Brian Mark Lemley Jr. are admitted members of the white supremacist group, The Base. Here is Matthews wearing a gas mask, calling for a race war.
If you want the white race to survive, you're going to have to do your part.
ABC News has obtained this newly released video as well as audio evidence from the case. The men had been under investigation for possible domestic extremism, but in December 2019, the FBI obtained a court order allowing them to secretly place a surveillance camera and microphone in the men's Delaware home.
We need to go back to the days of decimating blacks and getting rid of them wherever they stand.
The two were arrested in January 2020, just before the FBI claims they intended to launch their civil war by attacking a gun rally in Richmond, Virginia.
While the Virginia situation is happening, make other things happen. Derail some rail lines. Great, let's shut down the rest of the roads. You can kick off the economic collapse of the U.S. within a week.
The FBI believes the men, who both had military training, had the means to carry out the plot, discovering 1,500 rounds of ammunition, firearms, and tactical gear. Both pleaded guilty to gun charges in June and were each sentenced to 9 years in prison last week. David, the threat of white supremacy is rising. FBI Director Christopher Wray testified this year that the number of domestic terrorism cases involving white supremacists has tripled since he became director in 2017. David?
All right, Pierre Thomas reporting tonight. Thank you, Pierre.
Hi, everyone.
Oh yeah, that's the video. And you see, I'm gonna wind it back. Who was that in the background? Look like Caesar Bozier. Hold on, let me see.
Number of domestic terrorism cases involved to carry out the plot, discovering 1,500 rounds of ammunition, firearms, and tactical gear. Both pleaded guilty to gun charges in June and were each sentenced to 9 years in prison last week. David, the threat of white supremacy is rising. FBI Director.
Look at that KB's in the background. I just wanted to point that out. You know what I'm saying? He just came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Christ, right? Caesar Bozier. But I want that's Esau Edom, the bloody man, man. We gonna identify this this demon, the wicked. He's being revealed. We're gonna identify him in the scriptures, man. Where Esau Edom came out red all over like a hairy garment. So that's Esau Edom, the bloody man. So you see what he got? He got that perpetual hatred, man. That's that perpetual hatred that Esau Edom has for the so-called, especially the so-called black race. You know, they feel that way against all the tribes, but you know, primarily or mostly for the so-called black population, Judah. So I'm gonna get that out of Ezekiel, that perpetual hatred that Esau Edom has. You see, he plotted they were trying to plot a race war or something like that. These two dudes, the two Edomites, which I'm gonna get that out so I can get that out of Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. We gonna start at the Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. We gonna start at the top. It says, "Moreover, the word of the Lord, YAHAWAHSHI, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it." So we gonna get who is Mount Seir? Who is that? Who is Mount Seir? We can get that out of Genesis, the 36th chapter. And start the eighth verse. So we get an understanding of who is Mount Seir. It says, "Thus dwelleth Esau in Mount Seir." So that's where Esau dwelleth, Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. He is also Edom too. That's his other name. Edom meaning red. Which Esau means wasted away is he. You know. So Esau dwells in Mount Seir. So now we're gonna go back to Ezekiel, the 31st chapter. We're gonna start at the top again. It says Ezekiel 35 and 1, it says, "Moreover, the word of the Lord, YAHAWAHSHI, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it." So we understand Mount Seir is Esau Edom. "And say unto it, Thus saith the Lord, YAHAWAHSHI, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate, completely destroyed. And I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, YAHAWAHSHI. Why is this going to happen to Esau? And it's going to explain it in the 5th verse. It says, "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, and in the time of their iniquity had an end." So that's why, you know, during after slavery, even, you know, the atrocities of slavery, but even after the hard bondage of slavery, the chains was lifted, even though we are still in captivity, but the chains was taken off our people, he still pursued and did more atrocious things to our people. Even up to this day, there's no justice for the land of Israel, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the so-called justice system or the so-called court system or this society in its whole under Esau Edom, which is the self-proclaimed white man. And I'm going to read verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, YAHAWAHSHI, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So that's what's going to happen, man. Blood is going to pursue this man Esau Edom, the bloody man, which we're going to go into Genesis, where the account of Esau and Jacob, where he said he was going to pursue. Esau wanted to pursue Jacob because of the blessing. He had that perpetual hatred, even from Esau and Jacob. He got that perpetual hatred. So I'm gonna go in Genesis, the 27th chapter, and the 41st verse. And it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. That's what Esau Edom. He hated Esau, the self-proclaimed white man, which that's his forefather Esau. He hated Jacob, which is the forefather of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel. He hated Jacob because of the blessing that Isaac blessed him, which was all set up in the spirit by YAHAWAHSHI. So you see in that video that who was it, man? Like, they still got that perpetual hatred. It's 2021 and you still got these so-called racist groups alive and thriving, man. Even though they might be dormant, they stay dormant. But they was always here. They been here, and they still ever since when they made it known, that Ku Klux Klan during the civil rights, and before, after the change was lifting off our people, well, after the so-called, after this Emancipation Proclamation, which that was transferred property, since transfer from private property to state property. Ever since then, that racist group has been thriving, man. They might have been dormant, but they still around. So that's that perpetual hatred that Esau Edom has for Jacob, man. They plotted what they said. They tried to plot a racist or create a race war, which that's what you seen in Second Ezra. Well, the 15th chapter started the 14th verse or the 15th verse, and it says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another, and sword in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So you see that's happening right now, man. Sedition among men. They not a lot of these a lot of these the people are not regarding the president. He's supposed to be the king. He's a representation of the king, a monarch. You know, so a lot of these people are moving from these other from state to state because of other governors siding with the president. So this place is divided, which is also prophesied in the scriptures too. That Hamashiach Yahawashi say he come not to bring peace. You think I come to bring peace? I tell you nay, but division. So that's what's happening. A house divided cannot stand. East. So all of that is happening as it's prophesied, man. All of that is happening. But the main point of this lesson was basically Esau Edom, that perpetual hatred. Not to go off subject, but like I said in that video, they tried to plotted a race war. And there's many more. You believe there's many more that think the same way like this guy, man. These two Edomites did. But that's all I'm gonna have for this lesson. I hope it was edifying. I'm gonna say call Holayim La Yahawah, Ba'ashem, YAHAWAHSHI, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors again to the apostles and elders. And shalom till next time, Yahweh Ratazah, which means Lord willing, and Wah Abba Babal.